Bonsoir tout le monde.
Good evening, everyone.
Bienvenue à notre réunion régulière du 17
Welcome to our regular meeting of November
On a
17.
quelques difficultés techniques
We
ce
have a
soir.
couple of
On
technical
l'a eu un petit peu
problems,
plus tôt la semaine passée.
and we had it last week, and we don't know exactly why, but the translation in French is not working since the last discussion we had at the committee. It's a technical problem, but the English translation works well.
Simplement dire pour les gens dans la
I would like to say for individuals in the room,
French translation tonight. It appears we have a technical difficulty, but the English translation does work. So if you need those earphones, you're welcome to pick them up. Donc, premièrement, je veux commencer par simplement reconnaître que nous sommes réunis sur le territoire traditionnel et
we
non
are
cédé du
gathering on the unceded territory. The Mi'kmaq people, whose ancestors signed a treaty of peace and friendship with the British Crown in the 1700s. Mr. Clerk, we do have quorum for this evening. We are all here. And it's great to see that. It's been for several meetings. We always had one person remotely, but it's great to see everybody here. Declaration of conflict of interest. Anyone who would like to declare any conflict of interest on anything on the agenda?
On item 10.2.
10.2 and 6.2, I would imagine. That's just the presentation and whatnot. Parfait. On en prend note, merci.
So we're taking note of this.
Donc, numéro 4, adoption de
Number 4, adoption of the agenda. I would need a motion to adopt the agenda. Moved by Councillor Joël Després, seconded by Councillor Paul Boudreau. Questions on the motion? Mrs. Patricia, I would like to talk about the Public Safety Committee, so I don't know, should I add it on the agenda or doing by a motion, like at 15.2?
On l'ajoutera au...
We will add it.
Oui, oui.
It's just a quick summary. We'll add it right after, the CEO report, or is it easier for, whichever is easier for you? So yes, 13 maybe question, or 15?
No, on le ferait durant des rapports.
We'll do it during the reports.
8.3 puis le rapport du maire.
8.3 and mayor's report will be 8.4. I just wanted to know if it was technically more easier. So I have a motion to modify the agenda. Is it a correct amendment, like with mover and seconder? So I will not ask an amendment. I simply indicate if you agree with the amended agenda. All in favor, saying aye. Against nay. It's been carried. Thank you.
Adoption des procès-verbaux.
Adoption of the minutes. We have two sets of the minutes this evening. The one for the meeting held on October 29th. So if you had a chance to take a look at it and read it, I would need a motion to adopt the minutes, not the agenda. Moved by Councillor Janice Cormier, seconded by Councillor Jean-Claude Bertin. Questions on the minutes of October 29th? If not, all in favor, saying aye. Against nay. Carried. Thank you. The second set of minutes, the one for November 3rd, 2025. So it was the last regular meeting. I simply need a motion to adopt the minutes. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sylvie Colette Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Emile O'Brien. Questions on Councillor Peter Burrows? Yes, Mr. At item 15.2, I was not present at that meeting. Talking like Mr. Deja, like for the modification of the council composition, election, and be presented a new map of the municipality. Which map are we talking about? This is the map setting like the boroughs like for the next election, because it's been modified a little bit. The CAO prepare like a map by hand, but elections and they took this map, and I think they made maybe one little change. It was a little change, but of course I did not have like all the addresses, the civic addresses. with the GPS, GIS. So to draw the line. So eventually, like the line might go, went down a little bit, but we did not capture more residents. The map we had that we did not really see well, like the road, the streets, but they wanted to have a more detailed map because they have to capture like all the civic address to see you're part of Ward 1, 2, 3, 4. But when we did the analysis and the numbers were good, but the map was not right, but not enough to change the numbers or the spirit of what was adopted by the council. So is that map on the town's website? Yes, this map will be on the website of Election NB because we had to submit our bylaw with the modification, and the map was part of the bylaw. But we only modified the map we had with some highlighters with the official map that will be recognized by Elections NB. A question, Councillor Roland Cormier. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On 15.3, during the meeting, I mentioned, made some comments about the budget. I see like the other councillors are quoted, but I did not see any comments from me on the minutes. So I would like maybe to look into this again, maybe like just to insert like some of my comments because there's nothing, because it's a set of it's a minutes like it's transcripted, but usually like the minutes I see like Councillor Després, Councillor Boudreau and Cormier, like they were quoted too, that they were opposed to the amendments, and that's okay, like it's good to, but no mention of Councillor Cormier, like would still. You had talked a little bit during that meeting, and if a citizen would read it, it could seem like the only person who had a problem with the motion was Councillor Després, and Councillor Michael made the amendment, and the three others commented. But I would like my name to be there somewhere. But we could wait until the next meeting. I do not insist to do it right now. But the minutes, in my opinion, like those minutes are not clear enough. And I will give a chance like to the clerk to look at this again and come back to me with something. I understand well, yes. So in this case, so once we adopt the minutes, it's adopted, right? If you want us not to adopt it right now, would you like to table it? So I move that we table the minutes, so to come back with those additions. A motion to table, we do not debate, but I think it's quite straightforward. All in favor to table the adoption of the minutes of November 3rd, signify by saying aye, against nay. Carried. Thank you very much. Number 6, public presentation. We have 2 presentations from Plan 360, and these are for 2 different rezoning requests. I see Mr. Phil Robichaud is here from Plan 360, so good evening. Good evening, and council members. So if you can start with the first one, is Z-14-4464Z. I just want to make sure we see my screen. So the same report is 10.1, so it's there. So I think he's having a little bit of technical issues with his presentation. So good evening again. I'm presenting 2 files, and the intent is is to present like preliminary information to know if you would like to proceed with the rezoning request. So the first one is a rezoning request to R2. It's for a property located on the Belle-Île Street in the town of Shediac. So we see the property here. It's identified in red right there. And the Belle-Île, it's at the end of Labatture Street and the corner of Belle-Île. And there's a vacant line on the corner of the street. And in the surrounding, these are mostly like single family dwellings, but there are some row houses, townhouses, like just on the street. So the rezoning request is R1, and it only allows one unit. But as you see the other side of the zone, we see R2, and R1 is the most predominant in this part of town. And the property is partially in the sea rise elevation. So these are, it could be, could have flooding like after storms. So I will show you what it means in terms of flooding. So these are the pictures I was alluding to. So we see the property in question. So this is a Google Street View photo from 2024. We can see like the lot is a little bit lower than the street, but Shediac has already like bylaws. Every time you build, you have to adapt the building, so it's outside the flood zone, 4.3 meters. And this is what's being proposed. So it's R2 that would allow the maximum of 6 units, but it's a 3 units that's being proposed this evening, and it's a 3 unit that will be divided in semi-detached houses. So there will be some property lines cutting like the building in 3 parts. So you can have 3 different owners instead of having like some renters. It's what being proposed, and there will be 3 lots proposed. Something to note, like there are 2 entrances on Belle-Île Street. There's one on Belle-Île Street and one Labatture. And then it's just to have the driveways not too close to the intersection, and the buildings a little bit farther from the street than the bylaw is requiring, but that's something that could be processed through a variance during the rezoning. Usually, like we put the buildings closer to street, but because the corner lot, it's the building would be located a little bit farther. So this is the proposed plan, and to go back to the flood zone. So those dwellings, they do not have any basement. It's only like a frost wall, so it has to be up to elevation. So these are 2-story buildings with 3 bedrooms. So we did some consultations with the town of Shediac, the sewer department and the provincial department, so no major concerns. And the town of Shediac and the sewer commission, they mentioned that the property could be served, and the town of Shediac mentioned like the drainage plan would have to be done. But that's something we require when we issue a building permit. A little bit just to conclude and to have a discussion. It's an increase in density. It's a 3 units, it's average density, and I think it would fit well in the neighborhood. And there's also like row houses that are just across the street. It's a minor variance, but that could be processed during the rezoning. So that's pretty much like the discussion and your option this evening. You can proceed like with the public process, so there will be more details. There will be a public hearing and also a formal recommendation, or you can deny the request this evening or table it until later before we proceed with the legal process. So this is the deadline we prepare. So a resolution for this evening and the public hearing would be February 2nd, and then you would get a recommendation from the PRAC committee prior to that date. So this would conclude my presentation. Perfect. Thank you very much. So, any questions on this item? Councillor Paul Boudreau, just a question on the line, or I don't know if I should ask it to Public Works. There was a challenge for drainage, like so the water coming from Labatture, and it had an impact on the citizens on Tipperary Street. I don't know if it was addressed. It's just something I wanted to mention, because there was a drainage problem in that area. I'm not aware of the drainage problem. As Maitre Roboucher said, like a drainage plan is required. So my team will make sure we have this plan. It's just to mention the staff is aware of the drainage problem. So that's why, like you mentioned, a drainage plan would be very important. So the drainage challenges, I'm not too familiar, but the Public Works is familiar with that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Conseiller Joël Desvrais.
Councillor Joël Desvrais. Serge, you know, like R3, we change the limits, not the limits, but so when you're R2, are there the same bylaws? No, there's no requirements so because they build almost right on the line, but they have setbacks, but it would be the same that we would see like a house. R2, it's not meant for big buildings. In this case, the building is similar to what we see for a house. It's not higher than a regular house or single family dwelling. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you very much. We'll go to 10.2. Councillor Steves.
Get some exercise. Yeah, 6.2. Well, yeah.
6.2, sorry.
Au niveau 6.2,
6.2, presentation from 25 BEO 5515. Old Mill Road. It's a file that's a bit more complex, so I will try to do my best. I did not mention this for the same requirement as the one. So they're doing the two rezoning requests, and those rezoning requests is for integrated management. It's a special zone that exists and that allows to accommodate some projects where no other zoning could accommodate. This request, it's a little bit special. I will explain. So we are in the town of Shediac, but it was a former Shediac Cape LSD. So it's on Old Mill Road, and this road is between Route 11 and Route 134. So we see the property here in red, just along the highway. It's the last property of this Old Mill Road, and this road is mostly used for residential. There's a lot of houses built on this street and a lot of residential allowed to be for sale. It's a residential area, and the property is circled in red, and we see it's a close-up view. So there's already commercial activities going on at this property. We see the two buildings here for commercial uses, and there's also a self-storage here too on the property. So the existing zoning is general commercial, C1, but we see, as alluded to, the majority of the zoning on this street is residential. There's a lot of history in this property, so it was submitted to a rezoning request 3 times. It started in 2009. In 2009, there was a similar zoning in the rural plan, and at the time the property was rezoned with some conditions it was for 2 apartments and retail sales, and in 2017 there were an expansion to commercial use, so the conditions were modified, and it was to allow the self-storage, and in 2020 those conditions were modified once again because it was non-compliant of the conditions, so the conditions had to be modified again. And in the last rezoning, so there were many conditions, and essentially there was a setback from the property limit. There was a localization plan that forced the land to be developed in a certain way, so there would be no surprises for the neighbors, and the users were limited on the property. property. They can only go retail sale, have 2 apartments that were already there, and also like the commercial storage offices. And then they can also sell cars and RVs. And at the time it was allowed to do all of this, but with very strict condition that limited what was possible on that property. Today, there are new owners. So those new owners, like they did not do the rezoning in the past, and they're adding as with their real estate agent. So they buy properties and then they rent it to other businesses. So lately, so like a dog grooming business that they established in that property, and it was allowed with the current zoning. And now they would like to have other activities. They would have like a kennel on this property, and specifically they want also to have a doggy daycare. And this daycare is not allowed like in commercial zoning. It's only allowed in more rural zoning. So we have to create like a special zoning to accommodate the 2 users. So they gave us detail what a doggy daycare meant. They will not stay there like all night, but there would be a limited number of dogs that would be up to 12 dogs maximum. So the hours of operation would be from morning until early evening, I think 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. And they would also like to preserve what's there. It's like the residential units, self-storage, and they would like to have a little bit flexibility for commercial uses, and the service that was initially allowed in the rezoning. This is like a drone picture that was provided by the recurrent. So the property where they want to have like the dog, not the dog grooming, but the daycares. I just want to go back to the, so where they would like to keep the dogs. So it would be like the area circled in green. So there would be a fence. So there would be a separation between the building and the neighboring property, and it's getting close also to Route 11 and not the neighbor. So usually we want like the daycare, like because you have dogs outside, they can bark and they can do a lot of noise. So in this case, it's a little bit farther than the residential housing and closer to the highway. And here is only to mention like the allows for a kennel, but the commercial allows like commercial uses, but no kennels. So that's why they would like to create a special zoning. This is the bylaw we prepared. And just to discuss, so this would be an adjustment of rezoning in 2009, and this adjustment was more or less minor if the proposed activities are similar like to the rezoning request. We just want to add a kennel, which is more rural area, but it's a commercial zoning. And also note like it will be closer like to the Route 11. So the land is big enough, and I think it would meet the intent of the rezoning. And your options are the same. You can proceed, deny it, or table it until later. And the deadlines are essentially the same. It's the same timeline. Thank you. I have a question because I could not read on the screen, but I find it on my presentation here. There's a few questions. Councillor Janice Cormier. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the zoning, from what I understand, so the only thing that added would be a kennel compared to the other rezonings. So any other thing we should know about, like the other lots that could be done with that line? Is there anything that anything else we should know? For integrated management zoning, we have to add conditions. So you have to add conditions, and we will present it to the PRAC. So before it's recommended to you, we will propose like that those conditions are similar what they had before. So there is no surprises. Typically, yes, like a commercial zone could allow more uses, but the bylaw could have conditions. And that the allowed uses on the properties are similar to what was there before. Plus, they can also ultimately, like the council will decide. So if you want to proceed with this, you can add conditions also to really limit the impact of our commercial uses or integrated management zoning. Is it a question? I'm just saying like a 3 or 4. So the condition will indicate what's allowed on the on what's allowed or not allowed on the lot. It will indicate what's allowed. My second question, I know downtown Shediac, so will we do a study like of
traffic impact?
The traffic impact study, because I heard that this road is quite busy and they're trying to reduce the speed, and for many times like they're trying to do something. Will we do like a study like this in this area, because it's in country we do not do any traffic impact studies? It's a good question. It's a sector of the town that is not served by the town of Shediac. So in the rezoning process, we will consult with the Department of Transportation, because this is their asset, and they will recommend or not if a traffic impact study will be required according to what's being proposed. With my experience, the Department of Transportation only asks this type of study when the activities are more intense. And the opinion of the Department of Transportation, it's later in the process. Councilor Cormier. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You seem to mention that we're talking about a maximum of 12 dogs. It's what is being proposed by the requirement. Maybe you do not have it by the applicant, but maybe the CEO or Mr. Mayor will say hypothetically speaking. Who's policing this? This is a good question. Just to look at my notes, like they mentioned, like 10 or 12 dogs. Like how many dogs that would be allowed? That could stay there. It's kind of difficult to police this. Mr. Clerk has the municipal bylaw, and the bylaw we just adopted for animal control refers to the Provincial Act of the NBSPCA. So in this case, like they would need a license, a kennel license, and it will have to be filed with the province. So at this level, if there were complaints, we could send like we could send a bylaw officer, or the NBSPCA could also be involved. So does it answer your question? So the public, if we go forward, the public will have, the residents will have a chance like to comment, or yes. No, it's like the SPCA is on our list of a consultation. So they will give their opinions or recommendation on this file. Additional question, Janice Cormier, for the amount of dogs. So it means today, like if they can accommodate 12 and they decide to expand to accommodate 35 dogs, would it be possible? Or do they need to different process, like to have a special permission? This is a good question. As Mr. alluded to, it's kind of difficult, like to control the number of dogs, but we will discuss with the SPCA to see if it's a concern, if there's some kind of mechanism to a license that could control the number of dogs on the property. We did not have a conversation yet, but if there's a mechanism like just to regulate the number of dogs, it might have like a condition that would deal with it, like with specific license, instead of having like doing it through like the reasoning request. It will be conditional to the SPCA approval, and we'll see if they're able to manage this amount. If the business is doing well and there is some demand, if there's enough space for expansion, so they can make an expansion. I just just want to make sure, like, want to know, like, what would be possible to do and what's not possible.
On n'est pas des experts sur les chenilles.
We're not experts on kennels.
Parfait.
Great.
Conseiller Jean-Claude Bertin.
Councillor Jean-Claude Bertin, thank you, Your Worship. Can they sell cars on that piece of land? It had been a permitted use in the initial rezoning. It's already allowed. The current owners haven't communicated that it was part of their plans. But it's already in the zone. It's already in the zoning. Thank you.
Parfait.
Great.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Robichaud.
Thank you very much, Mr. Robichaud.
Est-ce qu'on peut indiquer à Conseiller Steves?
Could we indicate to Councillor Steves that he can come in again? Please come in again.
Il croit qu'on l'a oublié.
So he doesn't think we forgot him. Now 7, no reading of correspondence for tonight, but we do have standing and special committee reports. So for the fire department, receive the statistics compiled by the fire department. The fire chief is not here tonight, but if you have any questions, we can certainly pass them on to the fire chief afterwards. 8.2 Strategic Planning Committee. We created 4 committees related to the strategic plan, one for each pillar. There was a time for the reports to the municipal council every 3 months, once per quarter. Councillor Peter Brault. Thank you, Your Worship. It was for the Development Committee. We had our first meeting. The mayor was present. There was also Nicolas Arsenault, Danny Pellerin, Frédéric Duclos, and Tina Bitcoin, who were there. We kept the mandates. Well, I will mention that the CAO has already covered some of them. Works on Calder Street. The trails are done. Extension of Bro Bridge Phase 2. It's underway and should be done in 2026. The trunk sewer project is, we're waiting on it because we're negotiating a piece of land, but the tender is upcoming and the work should last a year. The asset management plan was received, and Krishna aligning things with the 5-year plan. In terms of industrial development, the agreements for the transfer of employees and the land for the industrial park are in preparation. The employees will remain on deploy of the province, but a service agreement will allow the town to use their services subject to fees. The stakeholders and consultants will be meeting to establish the information available, attracting and expanding businesses. The market gap analysis should be done. Would be in 2026 for reasons that are out of our control. And the attraction and expansion of businesses, a regional service commission for the Sud-Est will lead the strategy for attracting and retaining labor. So everything that was aligned under that pillar is moving forward as foreseen, Your Worship.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. So any councillors for Councillor Brault on this? I see none. So thank you very much. Councillor Patricia Bourque-Chevary. Thank you, Your Worship. This is related to the lifestyle pillar. We met this today, so I'll have a report another time. I don't blame you. It was our first meeting. I will have a meeting. I will have a report for you by next meeting. That's great.
Oui, c'est back, Patricia.
It's Patricia again. You were pointing at me. There's no mic. It's on. Next item, Public Safety Committee. That's Councillor Patricia Bourque-Chevary. Thank you, Worship. That meeting took place a while ago. Well, we had 2 meetings for the Public Safety Committee, as we see later. Under 15.2, there's a motion related to the terms of reference and the committee's mandate. Just to highlight a few things that we discussed. discussed. The fire hall, it is nearly done. The date was pushed back a bit for an official opening. Once you have a date, the councillors will be advised, but it was pushed back to later. Items that we discussed, we will meet the Moncton Fire Chief, Conrad Landry. He will come discuss as to how they operate with their firefighters, their full-time firefighters. And that same person will come on December 1st to talk about the emergency plan, because the town must adopt an emergency plan. The other item that we discussed, we spoke about speed on the streets, that we'll look at that in the next meetings. We asked for data from staff, and we'll have a meeting. Fire Chief Donald Cormier asked for a meeting. So to meet us, rather. So we'll have a meeting with Donald next meeting. So if there's any items you want to bring before that committee, send me an email. And we could be able to see the details of the committee at under 15.2. Great. Thank you very much. Any questions, Councillor Armin O'Brien? Thank you, Your Worship. Just a question. Conrad Landry, when is he coming to speak to us? Is it a public meeting? Well, he'll come for twice. Once on December 1st, that's for the emergency plan. And after that, he'll come to a Public Safety Committee meeting to talk about the fire hall and what they do. That'll be in January. Thank you very much. A question, Councillor Paul Boudreau. You also discussed about cameras. I'd like to add the inventory of cameras and assessed where we'd strategically like to have them. That's something we continue to discuss. Yes, thank you.
Le point 8.4.
8.4. My report, the mayor's report, I sent it to you by email. I prepared it over the weekend, but I just want to highlight the major points there. I'm participating on the Property Tax Reform Committee provincially with municipal associations, officials from local governance, finance department, Service New Brunswick, and that's the assessments department. There's nearly 40 of us. It's a lot of information that goes through that committee. That work has led to a document, what we heard document. It's available on the province's website. It was published 2 weeks ago or so. And the discussions of that committee are still underway. They're meant to be done by this year, 2025. The idea is to be in a position to bring about some legislative changes that would be developed over the winter and presented in the spring of 2026. So that's the timeline that the province has set for. There is more discussions to come. I will share that as soon as I can. Some things are on embargo until there's a final result, but I can talk to you about what's going on so far. Last week, about a week and a half ago, I attended the opening of the new fire hall in Salisbury. It's a brand new fire hall. The one from before was dated back to the 70s. A fire hall, about $6.9 million. What's interesting is that they used Federation of Canadian Municipalities, their Green Fund, for additions and improvements to make the building more energy friendly. They got a grant and a loan for that. Last weekend, it was the Friday afternoon and Saturday morning with both of our our municipal associations. The Union of Nova Scotia, Union of they had it was on harassment of municipal officials. Many tools were discussed, many paths forward discussed. There's a report to come in the spring or so, a bit later. Very interesting discussions. Many elected officials shared their experiences, either personal ones on their own or within their municipality. There are some elected officials who were harassed. Well, I'd say it's considerable harassment. Let's say that. It's not a pretty thing to hear, but they want to provide tools so that elected officials, so that there be protective measures that can be put in place. In Quebec, they even adopted, the province of Quebec adopted a law, passed a law. It's just to indicate certain things, that's an infraction against the code, not the code, but it's like a traffic violation, it'd be a fine. It just stipulates many things. It was interesting. We might not be experiencing what they're experiencing in Quebec, but those are tools to consider. In terms of the Lobster Festival, it was nominated for the national prize for the Canadian National Tourism Prize in Gatineau. I will accompany them there. There's just one or two of them there who'll be there, but we hope to win a prize, an award, and let's not touch wood. Let's knock on wood in the meantime. As I announced at the annual meeting for the Chamber of Commerce last week, in terms of the building permits, there will be a report will be published. It's fresh with the granting of the building permit for the new Anglophone school, primary to 12. That's a big number. It's around $60 million. So we have gone past our record, exceeded the record. We're 106 million in total. The record had been 105. So in each of those years, there's always been one big project. When we hit the $105 million threshold, it was the building lot for building permit for the new Providence House that just opened. So the school has now sought out its building permit. The work will start. It'll take about 2 years to build. It's good news. It will generate a certain amount of tax, and it's going to be impressive. So we accept it when it comes. It won't be coming by every year. And that's my report, unless you have some questions.
Councillor McElroy.
Councillor McElroy.
Mayor, I'm just wondering if the property tax analysis and review that's underway includes an analysis and review of the 0.4115 cents in property tax that parts of the town of Shediac pay to the province of New Brunswick,
as well as a lot of other parts of the province.
Well, I'm only concerned about Shediac.
Yeah, of course. Well, although what would benefit there would benefit others. It is part of the discussion. I can say that. However, there's a lot of items under discussion, and part of the focus that the government is going for, and we're there as an advisory kind of committee. We're certainly making strong suggestions, but it is a question of they want to address predictability of assessments. That's part of what they're looking for. That part of the report of what we heard talks about that, but I'll certainly bring that up at our next meeting.
Well, I would say that if that's not being fully addressed, it's the elephant in the room.
Yeah. I can tell you, like, there's 20 some odd things that are looking to be addressed. So it's one, but it's not a list of 3. That's all it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Monsieur DG.
I think it's just to add to Councillor McElroy's question. I was also part of the fiscal reform working group, which came out with the 3 recommendations on funding, whether it's the current capital renewal fund that we received this year, the RSSF, which is for regional services and how property taxes are being, not property taxes, property grant funding is allocated. Those were the three that came out. I know I raised that same topic during the fiscal working group sessions on the 4115. I wasn't told that it was going to be looked at, but I was told that I'm not the only one asking for reform or review of that specific number. That is a number that is ultimately controlled and dictated by the Department of Environment and Local Government. And then they generate revenue for the province from a general nature, and then some revenues are allocated during their budget process to the various departments. So I wasn't convinced, and I'm still not convinced, and I could be proved wrong, but that the entirety of those funds go to directly to the Department of Transportation, or maintains or remains within the territory that that the taxes were allocated for. But I will continue to ask questions on administrative side. I know I still have questions on that, and I'm sure the mayor will continue to do that as well in the working group that he has. So,
Certainly, I'm aware that the funds aren't expended in the areas in which they're collected. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But I guess I have a strong view that ultimately, and I would suggest within a reasonable time, there shouldn't be a situation where part of the town of Shediac is paying property tax to the town, also paying property tax to the province. Another part of Shediac is paying all of its property tax directly to the town. Like, that concept just doesn't make any sense. It might have made sense back when the Minister of Local Government and Municipal Affairs or whatever was, as they say, mayor of the LSD areas and had some responsibility for the budgets for those areas. But those days are gone. They left with amalgamation. And what we have is a holdover of a pot of money that the province, it's a significant amount of money, I understand that, but the province, in my view, has to figure out how they can get off the back of the property taxpayer and generate that revenue in some other manner throughout the province for the purposes for which it now uses that money. But to continue with a lopsided, unfair, illogical property tax equation on just portions of a town that's something that really needs to be addressed, in my view.
I don't disagree. I do note, and that's part of the sort of the education component of the committee, just to bring people up to speed on stuff. The province collects property tax on just about every property except single residential homes. The province does not collect for your single houses, but they do collect for every property of a commercial nature in a town or in Moncton or in any municipality. They do collect a lot of property tax according to whatever rates they charge on every apartment building, on every commercial or industrial properties that are out there, whether they're in the town or not, whatnot. So it's just, and each jurisdiction, each province, they looked at a lot of other spots as well. It does it a little differently. So like there's no one size fits all. At least I learned that part, at least in that sense. But it is part of. It doesn't negate the point that you're making, but it's kind of like it's not the only thing that they're collecting, in that sense. But anyway, Monsieur le Directeur Général. Votre rapport.
Merci, Monsieur le Maire.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a few items to provide as information to the Council. First of all, as it relates to the fire hall, I know that Councillor Brault touched upon that idea, the issue. In the committee reports, we're waiting a few certifications, so a few parts that were installed within the building. It should be happening in the next few days, weeks. Unfortunately, we had planned to potentially do an official opening of the fire hall before Christmas, but as we look at the resources that are already allocated for organizing other activities, we're looking at an official opening in the new year. We'd like it to be a little nicer, not much snow. Looking at March, April for an official opening. We could have people and activities that would be a bit more it would be a bit more logical to have outdoor activities as well. As regards strategic planning, I understand that there are committees that were formed, but I would encourage the elected officials to consult the model on the website, the template. Most of the meetings that I participated in for the various committees, the model, the template that was created for strategic planning, staff updated that document continuously. So elected officials have access to that template. You can go online. You can see where the status is of certain initiatives, if we're moving forward, moving back. You can follow the state level of progress. I know that I acknowledge that we maybe lost the access that we provided to you. We sent you in March, April, earlier this year. When we presented the plan, we will send a link again so that you can find it in your emails. I would encourage you to consult that document. In there, there's a live update. Should you ever wish to see what item is what status in the strategic plan. In terms of municipal operations, I would remind you, I've done a follow-up to the last meeting for garbage and the sorting, the 3 colors, the green bag. The green bag will see some inspections. This is the person who's picking up the garbage. If the bag is not compliant, if the wrong items are in the bag, citizens may receive a little label that says it's non-compliant and the bag is not being picked up. You might have heard the ads on the radio. It was played on the radio. I think there were some ads as well as in newspapers and paper media. For those of you who still receive paper-based media have come in for the region. So just remind citizens. And on social media, yes, thank you, Your Worship. There's a public awareness campaign in terms of Eco 360, and that happened. In terms of the Breaux Bridge project, I'll go a bit further than Councillor Breaux. We're past Germaine Street. We're started on Bellevue Street, where it's good progress, but we have gone past Germaine Street. Sorry, not Germaine Council, the councillor. We received a lot. No, it's a joke. It's a joke. Sorry. In terms of the recreation center, we received the preliminary report from BC2, and we shared it with the council last week. We will take your comments. We shared them with the consultant and the additional information that you would like to pass on. We're going to seek that out, and once we have that information, we'll share it with the council. We still need to present the site analysis report. This is what we want to do. We want to do it the same night that we presented the report, but unfortunately, the consultant was not available. So from here, near the end of the year, we are planning to present that report in terms of the analysis of the various sites under consideration. And last week, we also shared that we'd be proceeding with some communications to citizens to provide an update in terms of where we are with the file. I can tell you that we proceeded to a communication on our social media feeds. I think that we did them at the end of the day. Basically provides an update, the outline of the report, where we're heading, and it provides some information for the citizen. We will continue to communicate in that way across various files to help not only the council, but also the overall population to know where we are at with certain files. We also spoke of the presentation on December 1st. Fire Chief Conrad Landry from the town of Moncton. He'll be here. Phil Robichaud, who's in the room, will also be making a short presentation on the municipal plan. It was a follow-up to a committee. And there'll be a short analysis in terms of where we are at with the municipal plan for the next council meeting. And last year as well, we asked for a study on Plan 360 services and analysis that we granted to Stantec. I have received a preliminary report last week. We are seeking to find a time where the consultant can come present it to the council. We would like for it to be presented before the end of the year so that the council can look at the consultant's recommendations. We received a draft version of the report, and obviously he'd like our comments before he can present the final report. In terms of Pascal Poirier House, I offered an update last meeting on the steps to be followed. There will be some consultations to be had in the next few weeks. Invitations have been sent to various groups so that they may participate in the various consultations that will be taking place. So we're really anxious to see what will be discussed so that we can bring this back to the council. There are several RFPs that we are working on lately and that will bring before council soon to go forward if it does meet our purchasing policy among staff for small amounts. The first one tonight would be the results of an RFP for the condition assessment of the arena. Later in this meeting, we'll be presenting that. It will still go under 2.1.2 of the strategic plan. This is an axis that we're working on. And as part of the strategic plan, another RFP that is on the market is the engagement strategy for net zero strategy that is under 3.3 in the strategic plan. We presented end of November, and something that we'll definitely bring to before council. There's the REC master plan as well that meets 2.1.3 of the strategic plan. We haven't quite put it out yet, but we expect to put it out soon, and we'll have consultations until mid-December, so that then he can come back to us. From here to the next meeting, we should have something. We're also working on RFP to find a consultant for the climate change adaptation plan. That's a development axis in the strategic plan 1.2.1, and we're working on that. And the last one, small plan, we've already have the outcomes. It includes one bidder. It was for the elimination of Rotary Park, Park and and Pascal Poirier House. So you see there's lots of things that we're working on that are specifically attached to a strategic plan. So files going forward well. A few things I want to follow up on. This Friday, it will be the Christmas parade. We invite all residents to participate in the Christmas parade. It'll take place on Friday night. Prior to the parade, we'll be lighting the Tree of Hope at Pascal Poirier House. I think we're still giving hot chocolate, and it's a good opportunity to meet citizens during the holiday period. You might have noticed at the municipal building in the section where the person with limited mobility, there was a water deposit that's formed. There's been some complaints, people coming to the library. With the winter period, it's coming up. It could lead to ice, and that could be dangerous. We've already advised the owner last week that we hope that some improvements or that there would be a strategy to be implemented to make sure that the parking can be safe for all users or people coming to the building.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Question, Councillor Paul Boudreau. Thank you, Mr. Yves. Just two quick questions. So the first one, a comment. Thank you for the initiative of communication. So I mentioned it's really great. So the Pascal Poirier House, Melanie reached me for contact information. I'm pleased it's going ahead. Is there any deadline? Yes, we found a date for meetings. So the fourth meeting would involve more politicized people. We're talking about MLAs and ministers. So their availability is a little bit more difficult to coordinate. So we are communicating with them to finding a date, but usually we should be able to report from the consultation before Christmas. So our goal after, we're also doing an analysis or actualizing the work that will need to be done, to put this building back to order. The indication is that we will get this report just before Christmas. And of course, again, internal committee will have to analyze this information to prepare a report to present to the council. So the goal would be to present something to the January meeting on that would summarize all the consultation and the file. Thank you. And sorry, and it needs also, it's part also of the strategic planning development. If I remember well, the working session is for the consultant on this matter. Thank you. I thought I saw someone else, but it was the same one. Oh, it's good. Now, next one, 10.1, recommendation for the Southeast Regional Service Commission. This is the motion for to go forward and study the rezoning request for the triplex, essentially on Belle-Isle Street. Councillor Janice Prunier, if you would like to read it. Thank you, Mr. Rezoning Z-14-4-64, and whereas the council has received a request to change the zoning of the property identified by PID 01049295 to zone R2 medium density residential in order to allow for a 3 units dwelling. Therefore, be resolved that council review the file to determine whether it is in the public interest to amend the zoning bylaw. Be it further resolved that the clerk shall, in the name and on behalf of council, request to receive the opinion of the Southeast Planning Review Committee under Section 110 of the Community Planning Act by January 26, 2026. Be it further resolved that clerk, in the name and on behalf of council, arrange for public notice of the adoption of such bylaw to be published within the time prescribed by Section 111 of the Community Planning Act, and that the public hearing be set for February 2nd, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the council chamber to hear objections to the proposed bylaw. I shall move, Mr. Mayor. Moved by Councillor Janice Cormier, seconded by Councillor Jean-Claude Bertin. Questions on the motion?
Councillor McEnroy.
Councillor McElroy.
I'm just curious about the last sentence suggesting that the public hearing is being held so that those who have objections can make their objections known.
Mhm.
Don't we ask at public hearings for those who wish to speak in favor and those who wish to speak against an application? Would there not be some in the future? I'm not going to get hung up on it tonight, but
Yeah,
this is kind of negative. If you don't like this, you can show up at the meeting and complain.
actually, and I
If
believe
you
it's
support it, you're not really very welcome. It seems to me
Yeah.
that we should maybe look at the wording of those
We can look at that.
things just to make it more balanced in terms of we want your input, whether it's for or against or
Yeah.
whatever.
Although I believe in the legislation actually only mentions objections.
Yeah, but maybe that doesn't prohibit us from
Maybe not. but-
inviting
But
support as
that's
well.
probably where it comes from. Anyway.
And we've always welcomed any type of comments. When residents call us, we say the medium to provide those comments is within that public hearing motion, whether it's for or against. So, we always recommend if clients are for, to make it known, if clients are against, to make it known, because if nobody comes forward, council does not have that information. So.
Well, I understand that. Here's what the process is. It's just that this particular motion
Yeah.
speaks only to those who want to speak
Sure.
in opposition. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor McEnroy. It's noted, and it's always been the same motion, but I think it's a good point that you put forward on that side.
Sounds good. Donc, sur ce.
Also,
tous en
on this
faveur,
note,
on dit-
all in favor, saying aye.
Non.
Against nay,
Adopté.
carried.
Numéro 10.2.
10.2, Councillor Steves.
On verra tantôt. Donc, pour celle-ci,
We'll see you later. So for this one here,
encore là.
once again,
Avec la même intention pour-
same motion with the same intent to start the process. Councillor Després, if you would like to read it. 10.2 rezoning 25-BO-55-15. Whereas council has received a request to change the zoning of the property identified by PID 706-73546 to zone ID integrated development,
AI.
ID integrated development to allow retail uses, a kennel, a dog grooming facility, residential use maximum of 2 units, self-storage units, offices, and the sales of automobiles and or recreational vehicles. Therefore, be it resolved that council review the file to determine whether it is in the public interest to amend the zoning bylaw. Be it further resolved that the clerk shall, in the name and on behalf of council, request to receive the opinion of the Southeast Planning Review Committee under Section 110 of the Community Planning Act by January 26, 2026. Be it further resolved that the clerk, in the name and on behalf of council, arrange for public notice of the adoption of such bylaw to be published within the time prescribed by Section 111 of the Community Planning Act, and that the public hearing be set for February 2nd, 2026 at 6 o'clock in the council chamber to hear objections to the proposed bylaw. Moved by Councillor Joël Després, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sylvie Colette Boudreau. Questions on the motion?
Conseiller Roland Cormier.
Councillor Roland Cormier.
Je comprends bien, c'est un
If I understand well,
aménagement de résidentiel.
it's for residential use and also
Le mot exact, là, la toilettage pour
like the dog grooming.
les deux, là,
But-
on demande
So there's the two we're asking for, right?
Chenille, gay.
Ben, c'est ça.
A kennel.
Toilettage, déjà là, c'est la
The kennel and the dog grooming. So the kennel is not there?
C'est ça. Est-ce que toilettage de chiens est déjà.
Dog grooming, is it already there?
OK.
OK.
The grooming est déjà sur le site.
So the grooming is already there.
Je sais qu'on peut rester, Monsieur le maire, de
I know, like, we-
de faire la demande pour du rezoning.
So we
C'est ça,
we
pas
can do a rezoning request, but the council still can still say no.
Moi, je suis pas confortable d'avancer là.
I'm not comfortable like to even go forward with the process because we are adding a lot of uses on one property that is quite big and near other residences. So we're really like adding a lot of uses for this type of superficie. And even if it's not like within like the old boundaries of the Shediac, we still have. I do not see it there. I cannot see like a.
D'avoir toutes ces utilisations
to have all those uses on the same lot.
C'est pour ça, Monsieur le maire, moi, je vais voter.
And that's why, Mr. Mayor, I will be voting against this motion.
Je veux pas qu'ils investissent de l'argent.
I do not want them to invest like some money. So I say yes, like I say no, like that. I'll vote. I'll be voting against, like we do occasionally. Thank you, Councillor Cormier. On this note,
On dit non oui.
all in favor saying aye.
Contre non.
Against nay.
2 non.
2 nays.
OK.
Motion carried.
Non, public, on a eu.
So the public hearing will be held. So we can tell Councillor Steve he can come back in.
Nous avions rien au numéro 11.
We had nothing at 11, unfinished business, or 12, new business, 13, like requests from council members.
Je vais envoyer mon courriel de rappel.
I send my
pour ça, parce que je sais qu'il y en a quelques-uns qui avaient demandé.
email for reminders and some asked to. Councillor Peterborough, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I received an email. I don't know if other members received the same emails. A few calls on
de la rue Jubilé.
On Jubilee Street,
De pickleball.
where the pickleball court is.
L'endroit où les gens stationnent.
So where the people park, it's
beaucoup de boue.
there's a lot of mud,
C'est très humide.
and it's a very
Quelque chose qui peut être
wet.
fait.
So they're wondering if something can be done. I think it would be the perfect time, like with the fire station,
De mettre une peau neuve.
like
C'est le temps d'arranger
being
ce-
repaired. I think it would be time to repair this parking lot. I don't think it would cost a whole lot of money, like to repair this, because the summer it wasn't a problem because it was very dry. But if you come by like these days, there's a lot of water, like collecting up, and I don't know if the fall would be the right time to do so to avoid like maybe damages in the spring. But I think with the number of people using this field and the fact we're improving like the rest, like with the fire station, I think it might be the right time to
De voir à ça, je sais pas si que
look into this.
le travaux publics a quelque chose à dire là-dessus.
I'm not sure if Public Works can say something about this. CEO, I can talk on this. Thank you for your question. Very good point. So we will assess the situation internally to see if the capacity is allowing us to do some work this year. But there's a big possibility like we won't be able to squeeze in before the end of the year because we're getting ready like for the season. But definitely we can look for improvement like for the next summer season. We can already put it like in our workload if we're not able to do so. Just a reminder, like we're supposed to do some improvement to the line. So we just want to see like we can coordinate like the two. But definitely, like that's something we can look to make the parking lot a little bit safer and more enjoyable for users. Like. So can we confirm like for the next season? Improvement will be done. You can say like by next year if there are some improvements to do. That's something we could look at, or that we will be looking at. Thank you. Councillor Paul Boudreau. Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to take 4 or 5 minutes to share with the council members and the administration my concern, like for the new center, like we are discussing. Last week we had a very nice meeting. Thank you, Julie, for the great report. The consultant was telling like the component of the projects we're looking at. My concern, and I will tell you. So when I'm asking the question, when will we decide, also the council member, what we want in the component that they mentioned? Because they talk about gymnasium offices, like a certain size for the pool, like 2 ice rings. So when we will be taking a decision, because I was looking at the next step, and you referred like to with the purchase of land. If we're not sure like what we want for a complex, how can we decide which type of land we want? And it probably impact all the departments, like either like the finances or the debt for this project. Julie's programs that will be coming in later. So, and I was mandated for the study. The options for the future use of the festival arena, so the consultant, after like the new centers open, did we take a decision? So once we have that new project, we're studying what we will do with the old festival arena. It's not to be negative. If we take a decision to not put gymnasium, but instead, so the festival arena could be used like for this. So I'm a little bit confused that when us, the council members, will be taking a decision for the next step. Well, we would tell the administration, like I'm working in the administration, it would be more comfortable to see the council wants this. So you can focus with all the great work you do. You can focus on 1 rink or 2 rinks, but the council has to take a decision. So to my knowledge, like Yves, Julie, or I'm not sure if the steps should be good, but we're looking at funding. So the council did not take a decision like how big this project should be. And from what we see, like we're already at this step, we'll be looking for sponsorship and government grants. So how many millions? Is it 100 million? So I'm a bit confused what we are discussing. And with the last week, it was a major step. I was really happy to see, including the operations, but I'm not sure if you could react to my concerns. So what's coming? Another council next year, there's an election, 5, 6, 7 months. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm concerned that this file will be put on the shelves. They know we'll let the next council decide. If it's the case, to my knowledge, we'll lose another 4 or 5 months before, like, you know how it works, like the cementation, sworning in, and then you need to familiarize like the new members. So we're mandated for the last 5 years. I think it's the beginning of May, the election. So we have to take a decision. I would like to make some progress on this file. I don't know how. Is it an ad hoc committee, special committee, to take the report like Julie did? We want this, we don't want that, or Mr. CEO, I'm not sure. Like, I mean, am I way off base? Very good questions, very good concerns. I can tell you, like the BC2 report, like. To do the business plan, and the business plan is necessary for us, like to go to the population and to get some money, create some possible partnership with other partners, either the municipalities, community groups, etc. It's a major step we did when we received the preliminary report. I would say like the next year we'll focus on two different projects, specific projects. One, we're looking at hiring I don't want to call it the person, a project manager, but someone who can say like, what are our next steps? Kind of to organize, like to answer your questions. Do not do A before A or B before C, or give us like like a pathway to see how we should proceed. Like now that we will have the report, we had some discussion like with a couple of firms. Like we're still finalizing with some of them, like a service offer that we can present to the council, so the council can see, yes, we are comfortable not to give the keys, but at least to have someone who could represent the interests of the municipalities as it should be done, and organize our next set accordingly. Even if we have 12 steps that were done, each step requires like specific work, and we want to make sure like we're able to meet the requirements for those steps. So within this, yes, the council will decide. Do we want a gymnasium? Do we want a pool? Do we want 2 rings, 3 rings? Absolutely, the council has to look into this, because this document and what the council would like to see will determine like the document we will need to go to market. What the arena will look like, what are the superficie, what are the relating service. Also, the consultant for BC2 said really there are 2 ways to look at this project. There's traditional way, like design, build, or the municipal is responsible to hire an architect to do the drawings and also to do all the architectural codes. It would cost a lot, like to do something like this, to get some quotes and then build the buildings we design. Right now, like the markets is look design build, where you so within the process, like you're adding some criteria. So the building needs to have like a pool, an arena. And the bidder is designing the building. So the bidder will be responsible to ensure like all the criteria we would like to see, they are included in the project. In the drawing you will prepare. Instead of paying before, we're paying at the end. Not at the end or once the code is given. So it gives us a little bit more flexibility. So we're not paying for drawings. So when we go to market, we can make some changes and it will cost us less. So when it comes to arena, the festival arena, like we recognize, we did like an evaluation of the future of the structure, future of the building, and to maintain like to give like a next slide, a new vocation, we need to do some improvements to the building, either to its structure, to its capacity, accessibility capacity, but we need to look at the possible options. If the arena, for instance, I'm just giving an example, cannot convert like the arena in a gymnasium because the ceilings are not high enough, or I'm just mentioning this. The analysis could give us like the possible options that will help feed the council to take decisions. You say, yes, we might want like to renovate the arena to do this type of activity. The analysis we did a few years ago did not include some things like the mechanics, electricity, improvement we would like to see. We want to add this component in the analysis, like for the evaluation of the festival arena. We will be able to determine which type of improvement we want to, based on what we want to do. I want to see, can we build a pool like in the festival arena? I have no idea. Can we remove like the concrete floor and make and build a pool? I don't know. It might be a possibility that could be evaluated within this report, to give us some option, just to answer your specific question. So the next steps will be to proceed to the analysis of. We just finished the business plan, so we want to bring you a proposal from a project manager that will orient us in the right direction, so we do not miss any step. I can tell you right now, like today we can do steps 8 to 12. I'm not sure if they're right, but they're not really detailed on everything we need to do. So we want to hire a consultant who might have built like 20 of those multiplexes and many similar infrastructures to guide us in the right direction. So to make sure we follow the right avenue. So these are the two big studies we would like to do. We want to look also at developing a strategy, like a funding strategy. We have to evaluate the potential of this building. We have to do an analysis what the market can support. Is it 2 million? Is it 20 million? I can tell you, like Acadie did a fundraiser, and I think they raised 3-4 millions like for the recreation center. Is our capacity bigger than this one? So that's where also you are strengthening my argument when you're saying like analysis. You mentioned like eventually, like the council member. I would say like sooner than later, like if it's a specific day, like around the table with this report, and we say, okay, we would like to focus on this. So then we would give the task to the consultant. The consultant would say, that's what the council wanted. We already consulted the community group and the population. We should focus on what we want. If we let the design, the terminology you use, like we're starting from scratch. Oh, okay, that's what you want. The council, we have to put our pants on and see with the analysis, the excellent analysis, we had our budget to see like how will we be paying for this complex. If we can find like a task to help like the administration and consultant to see what we want. If not, it will last another 8-10 months. That's where I'm a little bit more pessimistic, like but my greatest wish would be before Christmas, January, February. So we around the table, like we meet with the administration and say, really, that's what we want. And there will be some tweaks, like we build like the multipurpose for $1.5 million, and we change a lot of things. But what we did, we look at the plan, we say, no, we want like these type of rooms, and that we focus on what we want. So this is my opinion. I don't know if you agree, but the only thing I can tell you, like we are following the steps 1 to 12. We're doing the best we can, like to manage this file, and recognize like maybe to more specialized help, like to help us manage this file. But at the end of the day, the council will decide how to prioritize some files. And I would say, like the strategic planning, we are following the steps with the deadlines also we mentioned. And the only thing I want to add, when we consulted with the population, they told us what they were looking for. Two rings, a pool to swim, or for our youth, like we cannot go like to 8 feet, and they were looking for spaces like for gymnasium. So that's where we find those components. It's not myself like who wrote it the night, or you, or. So with what the community indicated what they wanted, said, how much does it cost? So we got the report, and it gives us like an indication how much it costs. So there are still many steps to do. And the idea is to with the expertise we can get, and then we'll come to a crossroad. And I would like for the crossroad to be last month. We're not there yet. It will come. We'll have to make choices. We'll have a better idea on not necessarily the cost, but the installation. So what we have is it's only like the certain number of seats in one and compared to the other one. So we need more specific things, and then we'll see like what can we afford? Because we can build like a castle. It will cost a certain amount of money. You confuse me. So we need more information, as he was saying, like another study, or. if I may, like talk, I will refer to the strategic plan. So that's what we have. So there's 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 activities and a half to do in 2026. So out of those 5 to strike like a committee to study like the call to tender and to evaluate like the different applicants. At the time, we have to decide what the building will look like, what it will contain, what will be included, what will not be included. It's not something we can do without the pulse of the council. That's to be done in 2026. So we have to choose a site, construction site, including an analysis, traffic analysis. So we're analyzing the analysis now, the configuration of the building on the site. So we have to decide once we know what we want to build on this site, we chose what it will look like, because the price we got includes the construction, but that price does not include like the site improvement. So the site we choose, do we have to put 250,000 that was proposed by the council? Is it 2 or 3 million? Because we have to elevate the site, we have to do so much work. We have to do like a parking lot a certain size. There's also like to recruit a committee for the fundraising campaign, including like a campaign president. So once we know what the building will look like, it's like, so what do we create? So we follow these steps to meet this requirement. And 2026,
2027, once the council has decided what it will look like, it's a question about developing the tender, launching the public RFP for construction in 2027. Do you have a more precise timeline for 2026? No, it's pretty general right now. It could be 2 months, 3 months, or 4 months. We have an objective, the objective of finishing those 5 items in 2026. It's all positive. I'm not taking it as criticism. We're proud, we're happy that the council is committed and seeks to one day have the recreation center there. We're just telling you the steps to get there, the steps that we're following to see to a potential construction, as we said in the strategic plan, 27, 2028, or start of building it in 2027, 2028. Councillor Ronald Cormier. Thank you, Your Worship. These are all questions that we've already asked. I'm just asking for updates. Water access. The minister told us that in August that we'd have an answer. Do you have anything to share with us? We don't have an official answer, but we have had discussions with from official to official over the past weeks. They wanted some information from us to see what we were foreseeing, but we don't have an official answer. But we have had discussions with public servants in the department. Will we have a chance before the minister makes a decision? Will we have a chance to try to inaudible? I don't know what the minister will try to present to us, but the discussions thus far with the civil servants are encouraging, thus far. After there's a decision, though, it's hard if it's the decision you don't want. That's why I was asking His Worship, who's often here and there, and he sees those politicians. I don't know if you had a chance to speak to them. I don't see it quite in my memory banks, but in the minister's letter, in his answer that we received a while ago, that we'd be informed of the decision. Yes, that's that. That's it.
Puis ça, c'était face à
And that was after we asked to discuss it before. We asked to discuss it before. He said, you'll be informed of the decision. That indicates to me that they're not ready for a discussion. But even if they're not ready, we always have to be, you always have to try to speak them, even if they might not want to talk to you. Once we have a decision, well, we'll hope and see. If you'll allow, Your Worship, I was surprised by the call that we got. Well, there might be some good news coming down the pipe. They're looking at the question, at least. That's good. The council formed an environment committee about 2.5 years ago. We have had one meeting in those 2.5 years. I've had one. I have had some email as the worship as well. I've asked this on several occasions. Can we tell the population that perhaps we will have a meeting of the Environment Committee soon? Yes, I can confirm from staff. We're convening the committee before the end of the year. That's great. That's two good bits of news. I'll try again. The signage in the regions of the outside parts of Shediac. Do we have anything to share? I'll start, but I'll leave it to I can leave it to you. Well, we had a tender that we're studying, a bid that we're studying that we had to bring back to the return to the committee. It's the full sort of plan to see where we're going with this. Might I suggest? I know that I would like to see it. I don't know if my colleagues want to see it. I'm preoccupied with the signage, but more so with the location. I'm more preoccupied with the location of the signage once it is installed. It's going to be hard to come back to council and say, that's not where we should have put it. If we could have some buy-in before installing it, I don't know about my other colleagues, but I would appreciate that if you could share that with us. I can tell you that we'll share the places where we want to put it and try to put it and where we can put it, and based on the authorization that we get, that could be something different entirely, perhaps. But before we install it, we will let you know. 3 out of 3. Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to go for 4. Councillor Cormier, yes, definitely. We're in collaboration with some councillors around the table to try to have the best location for Scudo. And there's Councillor Desprez has taken steps and suggested some things, and we'll do the same thing for the others as well. Thank you. I would like that you share with us all of the sites. Thank you. We'll be putting one map together. The last item. We brought this before council several times. The concern of citizens from Scoudouc in particular, as they come back from Capelé on the 15th, when you do the exit to turn left heading towards Scoudouc, and right to go to Shediac, there's a stop sign for the left and a yield for the right. The Department of Transportation informed us that that's what it would be. Probably 6 weeks ago, I suggested that we should try to go a bit higher up to try to meet our MLAs, both of our local MLAs, and I would like to know if that we've approached them to try to speak to them, to try to look at that file. If you will remember, I did a follow-up on that file on the part of staff.
We had exhausted all our options.
Politically. Well, the mayor wrote a letter to the minister, specifically on that point. If I'm not mistaken, it was sent 2-3 weeks ago.
Quelques semaines, ouais.
A few weeks, yes. It was sent a few weeks ago to share our concerns and ask for a review. I can't remember. Did we ask for a meeting for that with councillors? But the two MLAs of locally were CC'd on that correspondence. Thank you. What I'm asking for about 6 weeks ago was to see if we could meet both of our MLAs to talk about that issue. Are we going to try to do that, or do we need to make a motion? How do we do this? Those are actions that for staff. Thank you.
Puis, je veux dire, la lettre a été envoyée.
And the letter was sent, but no answer yet.
On peut certainement poursuivre.
But we can certainly do some follow-up. It's the follow with the minister. Well, no, but that's fine. This is my opinion only, but if we wanted to move, both of our local MLAs have to be made aware. One of the two MLAs is familiar, the location is riding. Not only the minister. Everything is important, but it's less important when it comes from a colleague. It's more important when there's a colleague that says there's an issue here. Will we make an effort? How do I go about doing that other step? It's been about 2.5 years. Councillor Desprez and I are talking about this. And I understand that staff, we went through the bureaucracy. We hit a wall, but we have to go further than the wall. I hear you. My question is, do we have an intention to try to meet someone to talk about that file, or is the letter just fine? The other letter is when we write them, it would be a new council by the time they react to this. And if the MLAs don't get involved. As I said, we can do a follow-up. I can do a follow-up. It's no problem. So we're going to do a follow-up with the MLAs. We'll do it with the MLAs in his writing. And the other one, I'll inform the other one. He's not the player. That's great. That's what I wanted. Thank you, Your Worship. Okay. Number 14, there was no presentation reading of bylaws. 15.1, motions and resolutions. Festival arena evaluation. Awarding of contract. You want to give a bit of background on this one? We presented a memo. There were with the bids received. We did the analysis of the bids based on a template created. That had been created, and staff made a recommendation to award the contract to Roy Consultants for the amount that you will see in the resolution. So if you have any questions for staff is ready to answer your questions. Madam Deputy Mayor, would you like to read it? Yes, Your Worship. A festival arena evaluation awarding of contract. Pardon me. Be it resolved that the Council accept the Administration's recommendation to award the contract to Roy Consultants for an amount of $65,000 before taxes, and that this amount be taken from Budget 1-27048, Engineering and Planning. I so move, Your Worship. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sylvie Collet-Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Germaine Galland. Any questions, Councillor Joël Desprez? Thank you, Your Worship. Do you have a deadline for this report? I don't have the date. There's no deadline. It will be done over the winter, but we have to move as quickly as possible so that weather is not a big challenge, like no big snowfalls, to be able to assess the building the outside of the building first. Thank you. Great. Councillor Paul Boudreau, you have a question? Some clarification on how it was determined. One consultant is like sort of half price from the ones chosen. Who is it? And not all the details really, but it's twice as much as what we accepted in terms of the lowest bidder. My worry is that it created precedent if we don't accept the lowest. My other question is this legal? Legal, yes, because it's a request for proposals. It's not a tender. We have the rate, the scale. So how to measure one against the other? Before Madame Bélanger starts, basically it's a point system that determines the winner of the contract, not only cost. Yes, exactly. If you assess only based on cost, they weren't the best in terms of the points given the price, but the price is equivalent to the expectations based on the service we're seeking. However, we're talking about experience and qualifications of each of the candidates, the methodology, the team that is formed that will assess the building, the price, and of course, and understanding of the budget. That includes all of the various codes and the net zero aspect, the ecology aspect, and the sustainable development aspect of the building. That has to be assessed. Those were all things that weren't done before. And our mission as municipality, well, we want to head towards a more net zero mission. So we have to take advantage of this and assess the building based on those criteria. Thank you, Councillor Boudreau. All those in favor shall say aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion carried. Thank you. 15.2, Public Safety Commission Terms of Reference. As Madam the President, Chair of the Committee was saying, this is part of the Public Safety Committee's mandate, and it has to be adopted by the Municipal Council. So we had the opportunity to meet, to develop it, allow Madam Chair to develop it, to present it. Public Safety Committee Terms of Reference. Be it resolved that the Municipal Council accept the tabling of the Terms of Reference for the Public Safety Committee of the Town of Shediac. I so move, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Patricia Brooke-Chevalier, seconded by Councillor Emile O'Brien. Any questions on this? It's not a question, but a comment. After, I'll do it after. Well, okay. I'd like to thank the people who are part of the committee, Roland, Emile, Harry, Paul. And I'd like to thank Tina. She did much of the brunt of the work, putting together the main document. She did great work. Thank you, Tina. I'd like to thank her publicly for her great work that she continues to do with our meetings as well. She doesn't want you to go. So, all those in favor shall say aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion carried. And for the last motion for tonight, the council meeting scheduled for 2026. Bit of background on this one of you two? Who wins this one? I win. I won it. Well, you know that since for a while we've been modifying the meeting schedule at the starts of the years and the end of the year, because the procedural bylaw that currently is in place always started by a plenary meeting. Given that the winter season is coming and the January meeting are really coming up soon, so we're presenting this motion to modify the schedule so that the plenary meeting are cancelled, yes, and that the schedule, as you see it, will be as follows: January 19th, January 2nd and 9th and 17th, March 2nd and March 16th, April 7th and April 20th, and May 4th. Why do we stop in May? May 11th, there will be elections. We're trying to cover the start of 2026 to the fullest extent possible. Do you have any questions? It would require a motion, actually. Councillor Charmaine Galland, would you like to read it? Thank you, Your Worship. 15.3, 2026 council meeting scheduled. Whereas the Town of Shediac Municipal Council Procedure Bylaw number 23-03 is used to govern the conduct of council meetings. Whereas the provisions of the Town of Shediac Municipal Council Procedure Bylaw number 23-03 may be suspended by unanimous vote of the members of council present. Be it resolved that the plenary meetings of February 2nd, March 2nd, April 7th, and May 4th, 2026 be cancelled. Be it further resolved that the schedule be amended to add regular meetings on January 19th, February 2nd, and February 17th, March 2nd and 16th, April 7th and 20th, and May 4th, 2026, and that these meetings begin at 6 p.m. rather than 7 p.m. I so move, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Germain Galland, seconded by Councillor Emile O'Brien. Any questions? Councillor Jeunesse Cormier. Thank you, Your Worship. Does this meet the standards? Well, once the elections start, can we make decisions? Do we have ordinary, regular meetings anyway? At some point, we can't make decisions between the election and the swearing in of the next council. It's only during that period. Well, that 3-week period. So technically, even before the election has limited power in terms of what it can do. It doesn't mean they can't gather, they can't meet some decisions, but they don't have some decisions are not allowed. Technically, we cancel the second meeting of the month of May because the new council will be elected, and during that period, we won't yet have potentially won't have yet have received the results of the election. If there are 10-day recounts, 10 business day recounts, not within a week. So typically, we always cancel the meeting for the third Monday of May when there is an election, and we see to the swearing in, the earliest possible swearing in to form the new council, and then we return to the normal schedule once we are able to swear in the new council. Thank you for the clarification. No problem. So, all those in favor shall say aye. Contrary minded, nay. 1 no. Motion carried. It has to be unanimous. This is to get past the supersede the procedural bylaw. So it requires a unanimous vote. So we'll go back. Roland voted no. Can I explain my no? You don't need to. It's no more complicated than that. The motion the motion is not adopted unanimously, so it's not valid, basically. So that means that we'll go back to a plenary meeting. The first, the second, and the fourth Monday. On the Monday. We'll have to change our schedule. Councillor Paul and Councillor Joel, after a vote, there's no more discussion. It's too late. And now it's appointments of committees and adjournment. I'd ask you to stay in the room after. We'd like to coordinate a few things offline. So with that, no, after a vote, the questions are done after on that item, on that point. Councillor Germain moves that we adjourn. Thank you.